Okay, so let's do a couple more of these examples here, just to make sure we know what we're doing. Alright, so we've got x squared plus 6x plus 9. We're going to write two sets of parentheses. Our first term is x squared, so we can just put an x here and an x here. Our final term is 9, and we're going to put two numbers here that multiply together to give me 9 and add up to 6. And that's obviously going to be 3 and 3. So x plus 3, x plus 3, which we could also write as just x plus 3 squared. Alright, here we've got a squared plus 11a plus 30. Again, we can just put two sets of parentheses because there's no common factors here. There's nothing for us to factor out to begin with. So we start with a and a to get a squared, and then we need to put two numbers here that multiply together to give us 30 and add up to 11. And that would be 5 and 6. 5 plus 6 is 11. 5 times 6 is 30. So that works out. Here we've got a squared minus 11a plus 30. So this is a little bit different. It's got a minus sign right here. So when we do this, we still start with a and a. But now our two numbers have to multiply together to give us 30. And they have to add up to negative 11. And 5 and 6 are not going to do that. But if we make them both negative, will that work? Yes, it will, because negative 5 times negative 6 is positive 30. So that's good. That works. And then we have minus 5a and minus 6a to get our negative 11. So in this case, we had to make them both negative. So if this number, this final digit, this final term here is positive, it's going to mean that either both of these signs are negative or both of them are positive, because that's the only way you can get a positive number is to multiply positive times positive or negative times negative. The middle term is the one that you have to kind of fool around with to figure out what's going to work for you. Alright, so here we've got x squared minus 7x plus 12, and again we're going to start with two pairs of parentheses, and we've got x and x. And now we're looking for two numbers that will multiply together to give us 12. So their product should be 12. And their sum should be negative 7. So we could do 2 and 6, or 1 and 12, or 3 and 4. And 3 and 4 are the ones that will give us 7. So we'll choose 3 and 4. And again, we have to make them both negative, so that this will be negative 7 and positive 12. So that's negative 3x minus 4x is negative 7x. Okay, now we've got x squared minus 8x plus 12, and there's no common factor, so we go ahead and put the two sets of parentheses. We've got x squared, so x and x. And now we're trying to make 12, the product of has to be 12, so there could be, again, it could be 12 and 1, 2 and 6, or 3 and 4, but this time our middle term is negative 8, and the way to get that is with the 6 and a 2. So that would both be minus, and that would give us a negative 8, negative 6x, negative 2x gives us negative 8x, and then negative 6 times negative 2 gives us a positive 12. Okay, now we've got x squared minus 9x plus 12. Again, no common factor. We can just put x here and x here to get our x squared term. And now we're going to find two numbers whose product is 12 that will help us add up to 9. Alright, so we've got 12 times 1. That's not going to work. 2 times 6. That's not going to work. That's not going to give me a negative 9. And then a 3 and a 4. That's still not going to work. So there would not be any real numbers that we could put in here that would give us this trinomial, because there's no two numbers that the product is 12 that are going to add up to negative 9. So this would be not factorable in the rationals. I mean, we could put irrational numbers here. Not factorable. So we wouldn't normally factor that. We would say it's not factorable. Alright, and this last one is kind of just a general kind of thing. where we've got x squared and y squared instead of some number here. So again, we're going to start it the same way. There's no common factor, so we're going to start it with x and x. And then we know that to get y squared, there's only one way to get y squared, and that's y times y. So this is what we end up with. And if we multiply this out, x times x is x squared, x times y is xy, y times x is xy, and then y times y is y squared. So it does multiply out to be what we started with. So when you factor this trinomial, you get x plus y times x plus y, which is x plus y quantity squared. And so you'll start to hopefully recognize this, and anytime you see a binomial squared, you'll realize that it has this form. It's the first number squared plus 2 times the two numbers plus the final number squared. So that's factoring trinomials, and that's all there is to it.